Hi, Alan Stankevitz here for IWishICouldFly.com, and today we are going on a road trip. We're going to take a look at a pair of Sandhill Cranes to see how their colt is doing. This particular nest site is kind of famous, I guess, at least on YouTube. A couple years ago I did a video of them, the two eggs hatching, and we've got over 1 million hits on that one particular video, which I'm amazed at. So there's obviously a lot of bird lovers in the world, which is great to see. But this particular site has had its share of problems. If it's not weather related, it's predator related. And I thought I would kind of give a behind the scenes story of these cranes. Last year, for example, was not a good year for these cranes. It started out in April of 2018 with 3 major snow events in the month of April. And eventually they abandoned the nest. And we thought, oh great, there goes our season. But miraculously, they rebuilt the nest in a different location and laid 2 more eggs. Those eggs were 2 days away from hatching when a predator got them, and we were heartbroken. So last year we had no colts at all. More than likely it was a raccoon or some other animal that got the eggs. I went the next day with my drone to survey the nest site, and sure enough there were eggshells inside of the nest site. So we know that it was some animal that got them. So this year we held our breath and crossed our fingers, and in April again they laid 2 eggs, and yet again we run into another couple extreme weather events. The first one was a sleet storm, snow and sleet, over 1 inch of sleet accumulation. I thought for sure that they would have abandoned the nest, but the next day I went over there and she's still sitting on the nest. There's so much sleet in the water that the pond is turned to an icy slush. How she survived that, I don't know, but she did. And they persevered. And now we're about 2 days away from them hatching. The forecast shows 1.5 inches of rain, cold rain, temperatures in the low 40s Fahrenheit, with all sorts of bad weather. We get there and we watch almost the whole day. That was a Thursday. I went there first thing in the morning hoping that we'd see a colt, because if the eggs hatch and the water rises, the colts can swim. But if they're in the egg, that's not a good thing. So it rains and it rains and it rains. Finally around 5 o'clock in the afternoon it stops. But by now the nest is in danger of being flooded out, and the parents are going around trying to drag reeds and whatever else they can into the nest site to shore it up and to keep the eggs above the water line. So we left there Thursday night not knowing what to expect the next day. Both eggs had pips in them by then, so we knew that there were 2 live colts in those eggs. The next morning we get there and Mom is sitting on the nest and she's not fidgeting, which if a colt had hatched overnight, more than likely she'd be doing a lot of fidgeting. So we're not seeing any of that. Finally she gets up and we only find 1 egg. And now the egg's got a big crack in it. She works diligently, sitting up and down, trying to put pressure on the egg. Eventually she stands on the egg. I've never seen that before. And you could hear a faint crack. And out pops the colt, looking really ugly and cold. It was so cold that day. So she spent most of the day just sitting on the colt. But where did the other egg go? We don't know for sure, but if I had to speculate, probably sometime during the night or early morning when we weren't there, she's working on the nest and one of the eggs must have rolled off into the water. So now we're down to 1 colt. But things are looking okay at present. This is now day 9 after the hatch, and we're going to find out if the colt's still okay. We hope so. There's a lot of predation here. We've got bald eagles, we've got hawks, we've got owls, there's coyotes, foxes, raccoons, snapping turtles. There's a lot of different animals out there that can eat these colts when they're young. And it's the circle of life, as they say, unfortunately. And it's sad to see this go on, but it does. So we're coming up on the nest site now. The first area is where the actual nest was. And this is in the middle of a cattail reed marsh. And again, today I can see the water's up again. We had 1.5 inches of rain last night. So I don't expect them to be here, and they're not. But their nests are, gosh, almost underwater again. It's amazing. They actually ended up moving the nest the next day to another site because of all the water problems. So there's actually 2 nests there that they kind of switch between. I don't know where they're going to sit tonight if they're here. So this field here, this is a horse pasture. And this is usually where they hang out during the day. And miraculously, there they are. I'm amazed to find them this soon. A lot of times they're out in the back pasture, or they might be further up in this area. It appears the colt is doing okay. But here's the problem, and this is my own theory on this, but because of this horse pasture, we have a situation where if I can see this colt, so can other predators. I mean, they're kind of standing out there like a sore thumb. And I've been following a number of different pairs that have young. And at least one thing I can say about this pair is that the father is really diligent. It's rare that I ever see these two apart from each other. And that's good. I mean, the parent is vigilant about protecting the colt. I have a video snippet here that I'll show you that we had a heron that flew into the marsh, and Dad basically protected the young. They'll do a unison call and kind of flap their wings to try to protect the young. I'm taking a short video here right now so you can get the latest view of this colt. So we just keep our fingers crossed and keep an eye on them, and hopefully one of these years the colt will make it. They're obviously trying to feed it as much food as they can to get it as big as they can, as fast as they can, because the bigger the colt gets, the less likely it's going to be taken by a predator. But my theory is that anytime you have a field like this where there's a horse pasture that's mowed by horses and the grasses are kept short, they don't have that same ground cover to protect them. There's another nest site I'm monitoring right now that has a colt. There were 2, and now there's only 1. That's a cow pasture, and it's right next to a tree where some eagles are attempting to build a nest. And they've already lost one of their colts, and I don't suspect that we'll see the other one that much longer. The colt's just being fed now. When they're this age, they're eating mostly like grub worms and night crawlers, things like that. One of the things that's made these birds so successful is that they have a varied diet, and eventually they'll be eating other things that are larger, like frogs, and they'll even eat a meadow vole. I've seen them eat a meadow vole. So we just keep an eye on them every day and hope for the best. But if you look at this from a 10,000-foot view, or in my case with my drone, a 400-foot view, and look at the Root River Valley, right now we have a series of 6 active families between our house and here. And that's just on one side of the Root River. We're sure there's others on the other side. So we've got a number of families right now that are bringing up these colts. And although a good chunk of them aren't going to make it, we know that some will. And therefore, this has been a success for this region to reintroducing the Sandhill Cranes. It's one of the few successes that we have nowadays, considering that we're in the 6th mass extinction caused by humans. Anyways, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and by all means, if you liked what you saw, please give us a thumbs up. And if you really like what you saw, please subscribe to our channel, and we'll give you more of these types of videos. Take care, and we'll catch you next time around.